Welcome tonight. We have very special guests, two special guests, Roman, how do you pronounce? Avajim and Joshua Rouhani. Thank you very much for coming tonight. And we'll announce the address, 2013 East 13th Street. If anybody wants to come, Bezrat Hashem, we'd love to see you. Wednesday. This is the Wednesday night. So it's Wednesday night, 8:30 Arvit, and followed by 8:45 dinner. Okay, Rabotai, we got to talk a little bit. And that is, I'd like to present to you one thing that Rav Sadia Gaon says. Rav Sadia Gaon says these 5 words. And I'll explain to you these 5 words, but first I have to give an intro. And that is, if you look at every single era, you know, you had the Roman Emperor, you had the Roman Empire, you had the Greek Empire, you had different empires. But if you look through the years, you don't have their tradition anymore. It's already gone. But if you look at a Jew, you'll have the same tradition as a Jew going back to his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. We're talking about thousands of generations. You could take a look at a Pesach night Seder, at a Seder night where they're all eating matzah. It doesn't make a difference this year or 2,000 years ago. Everybody's sitting on a table eating matzah the same night over and over and over again. The Shabbat table, you'll have the same system of a Shabbat table where your person will come many years later and many years before, and they'll see Kiddush and they'll see Challah, they'll see 2 Challahs, and the tradition goes on and on and on and on. What made it so special that in our Torah and our religion, we still have the ongoing traditions that we still go on till today? And I want to read you his words. His words are these words. En umatunenu umatenu uma ela b'Torah. Again, en uma ela b'Torah. The reason why we still exist with the same traditions is because one word. What is that word? That word is the Torah itself. The fact that a person has Torah in his life, the fact that he has in his life, that is the battery, that is the engine, that is life itself, that is making it that every single generation is keeping to our same traditions that we always had. And by the way, I want to just tell you something. That is our life. Torah is our life. It's our life. It literally is our life. I'll give you an example. One time, there was a story of the Birkat Shmuel. His name, Rav Baruch Ber. Rav Baruch Ber Leibowitz was sitting down once in a meeting, and one rabbi got up, and one rabbi said, "You know, Rabotai, Torah is like air, right? Without air, you can't breathe. Without Torah, you can't live." And Rav Baruch Ber got up and said, "Excuse me." He was furious. "Excuse me. No. You got it all wrong." So what do you mean? Torah is not air. Torah is life itself. Air is in order to breathe, to stay alive. But Torah is life itself. And when a person has Torah in his life, automatically, things, if he keeps to it, things in his life are always going keseder, always going well, and he'll always be productive in producing an amazing life. And I'll prove it to you. The Gemara, it says over here, what is Divrei Torah? And if you look, it's a Gemara, Meseh Hagigah. It's on Daf Gimel Amud Bet, and I would like to read you the words, what it says. Divrei Chachamim, the words of the rabbis, Kedurbanot. What does it mean, Kedurbanot? The words of the rabbis, it's the second line in Gimel Amud Bet. It says, the words of the rabbis are like Durbanot. What's a Durban? Stick. But not just a stick. It's a stick that hits animals. That's a stick. So the Gemara asks the question: how could you compare Torah to the Divrei Torah of Chachamim like animal poker, like an animal poker stick? How could it be? So the Gemara says, listen to this. Ma darban. What's with this animal poker? This animal poker hits, let's say for example, a cow, or is not going on the right road, and it hits him, and now it plows the field. the cow starts plowing the field and it brings life to the world, so too, when a person learns Torah, he's bringing life to himself. You are bringing life to yourself. When you learn it, you're bringing life to yourself. Now, I have to elaborate a little bit more how great this is. And that is like this. Gemara says like this. It says that there was once a story, David HaMelech, this is on Masechet Makot, Daf Yud. It says David HaMelech asked Hashem, he wanted to know, when's his time going to end? Well, he wants to know. Imagine he's getting older. He wants to know, when's the last day? And Hashem says, listen, we can't tell you that. Imagine he asks God, when's the last day? We can't tell you that. He says, fine, no problem. Tell me, what day it will be? So he says, what? Shabbat. He said Shabbat. Fine. He said Shabbat, very good. And the Gemara over there says a story, how David HaMelech was walking. And as he was walking, it says that people were saying, when is he going to die? They wanted him to die. Why did they want him to die? They wanted him to die because since he was in war a lot of times, and there was a lot of blood on his hands, so therefore they said Shlomo HaMelech, which is his son, is going to build. So he'll build the foundation, Shlomo will continue that. So he says, okay, very good. So he says, and people were saying, when's David going to die? Because why? Because we want to build the Beit HaMikdash with Shlomo. And David tells Hashem, Samachti. I was happy. I was happy that the people want the Beit HaMikdash. Samachti be'omrim li. Bet Hashem nelech. I was happy when they sang they want him to die so they could go to the Beit HaMikdash. I was happy. Valid claim? Is that good for David HaMelech? King David is a great answer. He's not selfish. You see that he's not selfish. Why? He says the people want the Beit HaMikdash. If the people want the Beit HaMikdash, great. I'm all for it. That's the best thing. Let's go. And he tells Hashem, I was happy. I'm not selfish. You know what Hashem answers back to David? It is the most amazing Gemara, fascinating Gemara. The Gemara says, David, Tov liyom echad b'chatzerecha me'alef. You know what those words mean? I'll explain. It says, David, I'm sorry. Because you want the Beit HaMikdash right now. Yes, I understand. But I have news for you. When you're alive and you're learning, the one day that you're learning is equivalent to me more than 1,000 sacrifices that Shlomo HaMelech is going to bring. If you want to give me the Gemara, I'll show it to you. Makot, Daf Yud. Could you believe that? Could you believe what's going on? The one day that you learn, it's as if you found it on that page. Where is it? Where do you have it over there? Yeah. I see you getting prepared. The shiurim, you're getting prepared already. Right? Wait. Right? So what does he say it over here?
Second to last one.
Right. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Gemara. Ki tov yom b'chaserech alav. What does that mean? Tov li yom ehad. The one day that you learn. Sha'ata osek b'Torah, that you learn Torah. Me'elef olot. From 1,000 sacrifices. Sha'atid Shlomo bincha. Your son Shlomo lakriv lefanai al gabei mizbeach. Could you believe that? Could you really believe that? This is a very hard concept to understand. That means right now, the one day. So you know what the guy's going to ask me? Rabbi, that's David HaMelech's Torah. Who said it's my Torah? That's a good question. That was my question. I asked a very big Gaon. I asked the big Rosh Hashiva for this question. I said, this is David HaMelech's Torah. If I was David HaMelech, I understand. What's the answer? Anybody can give me the answer? Yeah, it says David HaMelech's Torah. What's the answer? Yeah, maybe it's only David's Torah. Who says your Torah? Who says your Torah?
Torah.
Same Torah. Oh, so my brother Albert's saying, what do you mean? It's not that David, it's the Torah that David's learning, which is an excellent answer. It's the same Torah that you're learning, that's David HaMelech, he learned. So what's the difference? What's the difference? So you would say maybe he's more pure. You would say maybe like that. However, if you look, Shlomo HaMelech, You know how pure Shlomo HaMelech was? We're talking about Shlomo HaMelech. And even his korbanot, you know what kind of level he was? But still, the Torah is in this situation, it's saying the one day that a person learns the Torah, Atid mincha lakriv lefnei gavim zeh. Could you believe it? It's a real thing. Now, how do you explain such a thing? How do you explain that? What is it that it's Torah? What is it? You know, every single word that you mention in the Torah, in the Gemara, you're creating an angel. You're really creating an angel. And I have news for you. There was one story, they asked Rav Shach, even if I say Amar Abaye, Amar Rava, Amar Arvuna, you're just saying the rabbis' names. That was the question. Is that considered Kenei Kulam, like all the Kenei? That was one of the questions. It's one word. And Torah, what do I mean by creating a malach? I want to tell you a story. And this story you know. And this story is documented. And you could see it yourselves. It's brought down in the Ein Yaakov. It's in the Hagdama of the Ein Yaakov. We have the Ein Yaakov Hekadosh. Listen to the story. Ein Yaakov, it's an Hagdama. You can look it up. There's a documented story from eyewitnesses that was from it's a wild story. What happened? There was a fellow, and the story goes, there was a fellow, and he passed away. And what happened was, nobody was there to bury him. So there was a lady that came out from his house, and the lady started screaming, "Help, help!" So men started hearing this lady scream, like, "Oh, help, help! Okay, what do you need? What happened? What do you need?" Says, "Please help us. What do you need?" Says, "There's a guy." He says, died in this house, and he had no family, nothing, zero, and nobody's there to be able to bury him. Can you help? Says, "Okay, we'll do it. Get 10 men." They get 10 men. They bury him. So say Kaddish. Okay, fine. They say, "We don't know the guy. Say Kaddish." Okay, eulogize him. Say he was the best tzaddik. We don't know him. Say he's the best tzaddik. Best tzaddik. Finally, they're going. And they're saying, "Who are you, lady? What's your name?" And she says, "My name is Chagiga. Chagiga Shemi, Chagiga Shemi." Yes, this is brought Ein Yaakov. Ein Yaakov, it says it. He says, Chagiga Shemi, Chagiga Shemi. My name is Hagiga. My name is Hagiga. And what happens? She turns around, and the men go, and they're like, "This is very awkward. What kind of name is Hagiga?" Before you know it, they look behind them, they see the lady, she's nowhere to be found. Now they start like bugging out a little bit. This doesn't make sense. Like, what's going on? What happens? They go ahead and they open up this guy's house and they look around to see. You have to understand something. Back in the day, nowadays the Gemara is very accessible. It costs nothing to buy a Gemara. What is it, $10, $12, $18? Back in the day, to get one Gemara, it was thousands of dollars. There wasn't printers. Now you have printers. Back in the day, they had to be written. They had to be all these things. So they looked in his bookshelf. What did they see? They saw one Gemara. They opened it up. What was it? Chagiga. What did they conclude? That this man that learned Chagiga, that's it, he learned his whole life. That's it, he had. He learned it again and again and again and again and again. He created a malach, an angel, that physically came down to help him in the time of need. Yes. Every time you finish a Gemara, you know what we say? We say, "I'll come back to you, Gemara, and you'll come back to me. I won't forget you, Gemara, and you don't forget me. Hadran alach mesechet chagiga. V'adatan alach. My mind is on you. Your mind is on me. Mind is on... What, are we getting married to the Gemara? The answer is yes. You're creating something in your life that will always protect you forever and ever and ever. And that is the angels that you created when you learned one word of Torah. You're creating things. It's a creation that you can't even imagine. It's the Bezrat Hashem. It's the word of God. And you know what it says at the end of the Gemara? It says, "A Tamil Chacham en esh shel gehinam sholetet bo." Listen to the words. Look. You won't even believe it. It says over here, what does it say? It says, "En or sholetet bo b'tamidei chamim." Why? Shekol gufan esh. Because the Tamil Chacham, when a person learns Torah, his body turns into fire. How does your body turn into fire? Very simple. Because the pasuk says, "Halo kod devari ke'esh neum Hashem." The words of God is fire. So what does that mean? When you're learning, you're really, what you're doing is, you're changing your whole essence. There was one time a story with the Hazon Ish, and a guy came to him and he says, listen, there's a very big rainstorm, and I travel 30 minutes in order to give a class, shiur. Rabbi, what do you think? So he says, why wouldn't you go? He says, because a time like that, if I were to go 30 minutes to give the shiur, there's usually 20 guys at the shiur. Says, yeah, and? Says, the rainstorm, I'll probably have only one guy. One guy, there's one guy that will for sure come. So Hazon Ish says, yes, it's worth it. Says, why? He says, because when a guy goes to class, he is not the same person anymore when he comes in and when he comes out. Any person that comes to class, when you come in and you leave, you're not the same person. You're not the same person. Why not? You're hearing so many things that are coming into your mind. It's automatically transforming you into a different person. And by the way, it's deep down in your subconscious, no matter what. Even in 20 years from now, you'll always have something in your brain about it. And why are we talking about it now? You know why? Because out of all the things that was placed in the Kodesh Kodashim, and this week it speaks about what? It speaks about the Mishkan. It speaks about the Mishkan. And what do you have? You have something called the Kodesh Kodashim. The Kodesh Kodashim, the Holy of Holies. What was in the Holy of Holies? What is inside? You would say, well, what would you put in? You would put maybe if you were a king, what would you put inside? If you had one master bedroom, what would you put inside that room? What would you put? Maybe you put a statue of yourself, all gold and diamonds. That's how I would put. Like, oh, I'll put a statue. Yeah, this is great. Statue, gold, and jewels, and this and that. Every time I walk in, wow, look at that. Look at me, you know? Wow. But what does Hashem do in His Kodesh Kodashim? What does He put? He puts what? The Luchot. He puts the Torah. You know why? Because He's demonstrating to us what's the most important thing in life. And that is the Torah itself. What is the most important thing? What's the most important thing in your life? It's Torah itself. It says Yisrael v'Kudsha Berichu v'Oraita Hadu. They're all one. Torah is one, is equal to one. You know, the Gemara speaks about a story of Acher. Everybody knows the story about Acher. There was 4 people who went up to Shamayim. Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, Acher, and Rabbi Akiva. Acher's name is really Elisha ben Avuya. These 4 people went up to Shammai. And it says, everybody knows what happened. I'm going to just focus on Acher. Acher, it says, Kitzetz benetiot.
What does that mean, they went up to Shammai?
So if you look, Tosafot, so that's a good question. Tosafot says, they used Shem Hashem. They used the name of God. And I want to read it to you. It's on Yidal Amud Bet. And there's one Tosfot that says over here, what does it mean they went up to Shamayim? So it says over here, Kegon al Yedei Shem, through Hashem's name. Tosfot says, V'lo alu lamala mamash. They didn't mamash go. Ela yanin elahem kemosha alu. It's like as if they were in Shamayim. That's Tosafot. Now, if you look at Rashi is more on the alu l'raki al Yedei Shem. It sounds like from Rashi they really went through Shem Hashem. You have to understand something. Shem Hashem, we don't know the names right now, but back in the day, if you use God's name, there's certain ways to use it. You could do the most wildest things, but a person, if he's not on that level, he'll get very big punishment. It says the Arizal, one time he was with his Talmidim, and his Talmidim was sitting there. He says, "Oh, you guys want to go to the Kotel?" They were living in Sfat, 4 hours away, 5, 6 hour drive away. He says, "You want to go to the Kotel? We'll go to the Kotel. We'll come right back." He says, "You go to the Kotel, come right back. How you can do that? Through Al Yedei Shem, through Shem Hashem, a person can go do these like fantastic things." So therefore, that's what's saying through the name of God. They, as if Rashi sounds like they really went up. And it says one Ben Azai died. He looked too much of the Shekhinah. If you look at the Shekhinah, you could die. Ben Zoma hitzitz vamet. Acher kitzetz benetiot. It says Acher went off. What happened to Acher? Acher, he saw an angel, not knowing that it's an angel, writing things. So he said, "Wait, God doesn't write. Is there another God up here?" So when he saw that, when he said that, already the Shamayim, they took this angel and they whipped him. It says they whipped him 60 lashes with fire. And after they whipped him, they told him, by the way, now the fact that Acher did this, thinking that there's two gods, we could erase his zchut. We could erase his zchut. And it said, a heavenly voice came out, he doesn't have shuvu banim shalom chutz ma'acher. Everybody can come back to me except Acher. Now, this is what happens. He goes off and he does things. The Gemara says what he did. He went here, went here, went here. But there's one thing I want to tell you. After he passes away, the Gemara says he had a lot of protection. How did he have? With what he had a lot of protection? It says since he learned Torah. Look what it says. Lo medan ledaineh. His judgment can't be the same. We can't judge him really. Mishum da'asak be'oraita. Because he learned Torah. Of course, a person is going to get judged. You know, there was a story. The rabbi's existing now. His name is Rabbi Abraham Salem. He's around. He's around. If you could ask him about this story, his father, I would say he's like 60s, maybe 70s now, by now. His father was a rabbi named Rab Natan Salem. And Rab Natan Salem, he had a rabbi that was passing away. And the rabbi, before he passed away, he told Rab Natan Salem, you're my student, I need you to do A, B, and C for me. When he passed away, I need you to take care of A, B, and C. So the student, which was Rabbi Nathan Salem, he told him, Rabbi, I need two things from you. He says, what do you need? One thing is, I need a kid. I need a baby. He wasn't having children. And the second thing is, I want to know, how is it in Shamayim when you go up there, what's the story? He says, okay. But you'll do this for me? Yes. They go back and forth. Rabbi Nathan Salem passes away. And Rabbi Nathan Salem's rabbi passes away. And the rabbi comes to the student in a dream. And listen to this. And he says to him, regarding your requests of having a child, I prayed for you over here, you'll be having a child. And he had a child, his name is Rabbi Avram Salem, and he's still around today. He says the story around. He's still around, he lives in Yerushalayim, he says this story around till today. And then he said, the second thing you want to know about Din V'Cheshbon, he says, Din V'Cheshbon is wild up here. The Din V'Cheshbon is tremendous. But you need protection. What's your protection? Part of it is learning the Torah. It's a different level. Torah, it says, Magna u'matzla. It protects and saves. It does things that you can't even imagine. And therefore, a person has to know in his life, when it comes to Torah, you're going to be stopped in many obstacles. There's a guy, he texts me this week, we were speaking about it, Avi Ben Simon. You know Avi Ben Simon? Avi Ben Simon, I'll show you the text. He said, Rabbi, I can't believe it. I said, what? I'm listening to your shiur. He's listening to our shiur. And he says, I wasn't busy the whole day. I wasn't busy. Today I wasn't busy. And all of a sudden, the hour I spent to say I'm going to learn Torah, I got 10 calls back to back. He tells me the second I started learning Torah, I got 10 calls back to back. 10! What is that? He didn't understand. He's like, I can understand it. I can understand it. He says, what are you doing? I want to tell you, the answer is, when you're doing something so great, the Satan is going to try to stop you. The Yetzer Hara is going to try to stop you. And that's the biggest proof. You know it's so big. You know it's so big because of that. How could it be? He says, every single time I learn, all of a sudden I get calls, busy. What happened? The answer is, you're doing something great, it's going to be stopped. Because Talmud Torah Kenei Kulam. I want to read to you a Gemara in Moed Katan. What does it say over there? I want to read it to you. I have it over here. It says, Kol havatzecha lo yeshbu ba. What does that mean? Anything in life, any pleasure in life, anything from the beginning of creation to the end of the creation, it doesn't equal up to any pleasure, any worth of one word of Torah. That means you have one word of Torah, it doesn't equal up to any worth of anything. Then the Gemara says, V'chol chapatzim lo yishvu ba. What does that mean? V'chol chapatzim lo yishvu ba? It means any mitzvah, Any mitzvah doesn't equal up to one word of Torah. And therefore, Rabotai, you have to understand something. So, what are we going to do? What are we coming out with over here? We're coming out, let me go back to the Acher. What happened to Acher? It says his daughter was asking money from Rabbi. He was asking money from Rabbi, the daughter of Acher. After Acher died, she went and she asked Rabbi, she says, who are you? Says, my father is Acher. So what does he say? He says, there's still, because Acher went off. He says, there's still descendants from him? The Pasuk says there's not going to be no descendants from him. What does the Gemara say? She says, Rabbi, remember for him, for his Torah learning that he did, and not for his deeds. And right away it says, a fire came down from Shamayim and burned the chair of Rabbi. And burned this chair that he was sitting on. You want me to read it? I'll read it to you. It says over here, what happened? Ki nach nafsheh. What happened? It says, Bito shel Acher, the daughter of Acher, Ati lekamed Rabbi. She came in front of Rabbi. Amra le Rabbi, parneseni. Give me parnasa. Amra bat miyat. Who's your father? Bat miyat. Amra la Bito shel Acher. I'm the daughter of Acher. Amra la adayin yesh mizaro ba'olam. There's still descendants from him? How could it be? Lonin v'lonechad. How could it be? And sitting with him. Amar lo, zachor le torato. Remember that he learned Torah. V'al tiskor ma'asav. Don't remember his deeds. Miyad yarda esh. A fire came. V'sizecha savlo shel Rabbi. Bachar Rabbi. Rabbi started crying. Umal metagnin ba kavash tamechika kama kama. Imagine a person. Imagine how valuable is Torah. The person has to understand something. We don't understand. Somebody asked me today, I was in Chaim, Berlin. Somebody asked me, how great is the reward of Torah? How come we can't go up and see the one word of Torah that you learned, you'll get all this reward? I say, you know why? Because you won't become normal. You won't become normal. There was a guy sitting here in the earlier class, and he asked me, Rabbi, I'm learning over here that if 3 people are eating bread, they have to say Divrei Torah. And if you're walking with a Tamei Hacham, you're walking with people, you have to say Divrei Torah. Every time I have to say Divrei Torah, what's going on? So I told him like this. I said, look, I was at the doctor's office once, and I saw this doctor, there was two of the nurses were talking to each other. The doctor was very busy, a lot of patients. They was talking. The doctor came out from the room, and he looks at the 2 nurses talking in front of everybody. He starts screaming at them. What do you think I pay you for? For you guys to talk? And meanwhile, they just started talking. I saw them. They weren't talking the whole time. They were 1 minute. They were just sitting there schmoozing. I pay you guys to work. I don't pay you guys to talk. I pay you guys to work. And he screamed at them. And I got the biggest lesson in my life. Our job in life is to serve God. That's our job. One of the main purpose in the service of God is, one of the main purposes, like the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, is learning Torah. So therefore God demands us that we always got to keep on learning. But what do you mean? I have to learn when I'm eating, I have to learn when I'm walking, I have to learn. What does it say? What do you have to do? What does it say? What does it say? Every time you're walking, you have to learn. You're eating, you have to learn. Every time you want me to learn, like what's going on? I don't have a breath to breathe. Like what's going on? The answer is God can demand it from you because He knows He's paying you big. He knows the reward is so big. Imagine I'm paying you every second that you learn $100 million. By the way, imagine that. Imagine right now, every second that you learn, I'm paying you $100 million. Would you stop for a second? No, seriously. No, would you stop for a second? The problem is the Yetzirah gets us. I learned so much. I already have 100 billion. I have it. But you're not understanding. You need all this because you will live for eternity. You will live forever and ever. There's something called Tchiat HaMetim. And once we come back to this world, after 120, there's going to be Tchiat HaMetim. You're going to be living off the Torah that you learned. What are you going to do? That's it. You're living forever and ever and ever with the Torah that you learned. What are you going to do now? You have to learn as much as you can. That's what we're born. We're born to serve Hashem, and one of the main purposes in the service of God is limud Torah. Adam la'amal yulad, which amal? Amal peh. The Gemara says, which amal? Amal peh. Amal peh of what? Amal peh of Torah, to learn the Torah. You know what it says? Im lamad Torah harbeh. If you learn the Torah, al tachzik tova l'atzmecha. Don't tap yourself on the back. Why not? I'm going to tap myself on the back. Why? Ki lekach notzarta. Because that's why you're born. You're born to learn. You're born to learn. What do you do? I learn. What do you do? I learn. Oh, you also have to have parnasah? Okay. So what do? I'm a learner. I also make some money on the side. But that's like the side thing. People have to recognize that. Why? Because you have an hour of learning in the night, you have an hour of morning in the morning. That is what you do. I learn. I also have to make parnasah. That's the mindset it has to be. Because what happens once parnasah gets in the way? Let's say, for example, I have a business deal, I have to extend and I can't learn that hour. So that means the ikar is not Torah. The ikar is business. You have to understand something. Your main object in life is to serve God. The main purpose of the serving God is what is the limud Torah. Well, what are you going to do? I also have to do this. You're right. I'm not telling you not to do that. If you need it, you need it. But don't forget, what is everything else? What are you doing? I'm serving Hashem every other second. There's a Gaon of Vilna that says something amazing thing. The Gaon of Vilna says, let's say a person has to have parnasah, he needs to. So he has to get the parnasah. But we see, what does he do when he's off? And if he's learning all the time when he's off, that means he has an excuse as if he learned even when he was working. Why? Because he says that what? Because look, at the end of the day, you're honest. You have to get parnasah. You must do that. You have no other choice. But we see every other time when you're off of working, you're learning, must be you would have also learned that same time that you were working, because the only reason why you had to do that is because you needed that. Okay? So you can get schar for that. That's when you're learning on the off times. That's why I say a person has to understand his life is it. Your life is it. And guess what? You'll see 100% when I'm saying you're going to see the reward is tremendous. Just imagine that. Imagine every second that you're learning, you're getting $100 million. You would really never stop. So this kid in Chaim, this young yeshiva guy, in Chaim Berlin, he asks me, how come I can't see the reward? I said, because if you would see the reward of 1 second of learning, 1 second, you wouldn't be normal ever again. So what do you mean? He says, I told him, if you go see in Shamayim, after 120, 1 word of learning, 1 word, you will go insane. What? You'll never stop. You wouldn't be able to do anything. Yeah, I'm gonna go have a long meal. I can't do it. I gotta learn. You'll never be able to be normal. Shower? What shower? I'll shower once a week. You'll shower once. You won't be able to, because the reward is so great. You'll be always thinking about learning. You'll be forget about it. You won't even be normal. The reward is tremendous. You have to know. Talmud Torah Kenei Kulam. The reward is tremendous. The reward is tremendous. You have to understand what it is, a word of Torah. It's precious. It's Yekara Haim Peninim. What does it mean, Yekara Haim Peninim? It's more precious than what? Than the avodah that the Kohen Gadol does in the Kodesh Kodashim on Yom Kippur. Yekara Haim Peninim. And like we said, David HaMelech, what did he do? He said that one day, David says, the Shmuel says, don't worry, David, the one day that you're learning is worth 1,000 times more, 1,000 times more than what? The korbanot that Shmuel is doing. You have to understand something. Torah is Torah is Torah is Torah. You have to understand what it is. Now you're going to ask me, Rabbi, what about the woman? What about the woman? Guess what? They have 50-50 with the people, with the husband. They have 50-50 with the people. Yevamot, Gemara Yevamot speaks. They have a chelik, they have a part with their husbands learning. They have a part. And also, they have a part if they go ahead and they what? And they support Torah, whatever they're doing. But they're pushing their children to learn. Go, shtaging. There was a mother in our community. He finished Shas. One of the tribus finished Shas. And at his siyum, he said, he was about 45 at the time, 50, and he said, when I was a little boy, every Mishnah I finished, my mother would make the biggest party for me. And that gave me the motivation to go on and on and on and on. And I'm going to tell you one last story, and I know I said this. I want to tell you this story, and I'm finished with this. I have a friend. His name's Yishai ben David, right? Yishai ben David. And he told me this story. He said many years ago, when he got married, and he went to a person's house for Shabbat. Him and his wife, they went They went for Shabbat dinner to a rabbi's house, a big rabbi's house. And they went a little bit earlier. So they lit candles. Rabbi Yishai ben David's wife and the Rebbenson's wife, they lit candles, and Rabbi Yishai went to what's it called, shul with the rabbi, and that's it. What happens? As they're lighting candles, they finish. The Rebbenson ben David says, I want to tell you a story. What's the story? He says, I have a sister that's, her husband gave her a Cartier watch, all diamonds. All diamond. And I thought to myself, my husband, how come he's not getting me the Cartier with the all diamonds? Her husband was learning all day. Torah all day. And then I was thinking like that. My husband didn't get me a Cartier gold with all diamonds. I'll tell you what did happen.
The Avrech guy, his wife was gold?
No. The Avrech, the Kolel guy, is married. So this guy she's married to, she said that her sister, that's married to married to someone else, gave her a diamond Cartier watch. So she, in her mind, saying, "Is my husband going to ever buy me a Cartier all diamond?" And she was wondering, "Is he going to be doing?" No, yes. But one day, she said, he asked me, Fridays before Shabbat, he wants 2 hours alone in his study. Friday before Shabbat. Would you give it to me? Yeah. Don't bother me? No problem. And that's a very hectic time. Friday afternoon. She said that. She did it. Says, okay, for 3 to 4 years, it was going on. After like 4 years, she sees by her candle lighting an envelope. And she's going to open it. Oh, this is the Cartier watch, right? No, she sees an envelope with a letter. What was the letter? The letter was, I just finished Gemara Pesachim. Through all these 2 hours of every Friday afternoon, I'm dedicating it to you, to us, as a present. It says, how sweet is that? It says she felt so good. And she says, wow, this is real. This is real. Torah is real. It's more real than anything else. Because guess what? Torah is the only thing that lasts forever. That lasts forever is Torah mitzvot. That lasts forever and ever and ever is Torah mitzvot. Forever and ever, it's going to stay with you. Forever and ever. Every one word of Torah will stay with you, will be with you for eternity. And therefore, it's so vital and so important. What does Hashem do? He says, in my Kodesh Kodashim, I'm not going to put a statue of myself, because there's no statue. What is he going to do? He's going to put the Torah. Because that's what he loves. And when you love Torah, you'll see. I'm going to conclude with this. Even one line. Try to understand one line. Try to understand 2 lines. Try to understand one daf of Gemara. Just one daf. And go over it again and again and again and again and again and again. You develop such a sweetness. Do a perek. You'll go flipping out. Mesechah from cover to cover, you'll be ecstatic. You'll be ecstatic like Asheresh Bebetecha, but you got to build on it. Don't sell yourself short. Don't think you can't do it. Might be tough to open up a Gemara in the beginning, but little by little, you'll do it. Anything, Mishnayot, Torah, Halakha, do it. Just get involved, get yourself soaked in, get yourself I got to set a seder up, I got to set myself up. This is a time I always got to learn, and like that you'll see. First of all, it brings you tremendous beracha. It'll bring you tremendous beracha in your life here. It'll bring you tremendous beracha in your life here. There's people who saw salvation after salvation by just sitting down and learning. They couldn't believe it. Rav Shmuel Birnbaum, when they asked him, there was a Hatzalah, they said, Rabbi, pray. Why pray for what? He says, there's somebody's going to the Hatzalah. You know what he did? He was opening up his Gemara. He says, Abaye and Rava, I learn you every single day. Do me a favor. Go to Kisei HaKavod, tell him, make this guy get better. And all of a sudden they say, oh, by the way, Rabbi, he's all good. What happened? He used the power of the Torah. There's no greater. There was a very famous story. I believe it was the Taz. I forgot. I wish I remember Taz or the Tur. I forgot who it was. How there was a lady that she was dying, and they wanted. You know what kamiyah is? Kamiyah. You know kamiyah? Kamiyah. There's like different kamiyah. It's an amulet they call it. It's a very famous story. I think it was the Taz, and they came to the Taz and said, Rabbi, please, the lady's dying. Give her an amulet. He wrote up the amulet, and he says, I'm giving you this on condition. You never open this up. Even you don't open it. This is the amulet. It's going to stay. It's going to protect you. Anyway, until I think after he dies, the Taz passed away. This lady still had the amulet, and she survived. It was life and death. She put the amulet, and she survived. She survived. And many years later, Taz passed away, and she still had the amulet. One day, she had the urge. She says, now the Taz passed away, let me open it. She opens it. It breaks. Whatever happened. You know what it says in the amulet? Please Hashem, from the Tosfot that I just finished, give a schut to this lady to get 100% healthy. That was it, amulet. Imagine. You thought Hashem, this, that. Tosafot! Please Hashem, Tosafot! They asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky, do they have to, Al Pi Halacha, do they have to go into the bunkers with his bombs in Bnei Brak? He says, do you know how many pages of Gemara is protecting Bnei Brak? That's what he said. You know how many pages of Gemara is protecting Bnei Brak? Torah is real. Torah is real. It's not just, I read this, that. You're learning, you're creating angels, you're creating protection, you're creating barakah, you're creating so much blessing into your life. Good day.